I never thought I'd find myself in this kind of mess, but here I am. My name's Mike, and I've been with my wife, Emily, for about 8 years now. We met in college, got married right after, and for the most part, I thought we had a good, stable life. We had our ups and downs like anyone, but I never suspected anything truly terrible until recently. It started subtly at first. Emily, who's always been a bit of a drama queen, started acting differently around me. She'd get defensive if I asked where she was after work, and her phone became a fortress. Locked, password changed, messages deleted faster than I could keep up. I noticed she was late more often, always with vague excuses like stuck in traffic or work ran late, but it felt like she was hiding something. Then came the little things, texts that seemed a little too flirtatious, the way she'd brush off my questions with a sharp attitude, even when I was just trying to be concerned. Still, I told myself I was paranoid. Maybe I was overthinking it. She's always been a bit bitchy, especially when she's annoyed, and I convinced myself that. Maybe I was just imagining the worst. But the real turning point was last weekend. We had some family over for a barbecue, my brother Tom and his wife, Lisa. Emily was always a social butterfly, or so I thought, but she was acting strange that day, distracted, snappy, and a little too close to Tom. They seemed to have this weird vibe, whispering to each other, sharing secretive smiles. I caught Tom giving me these weird looks, like he was hiding something, but I didn't think much of it at the time. That night, after everyone left, I decided to do a little digging. I checked Emily's phone, and that's when I saw it. A string of messages between her and Tom, not just friendly banter, but flirty, sexual messages. More than that, they'd been sneaking around during the family gathering. The texts talked about meeting up, about asterisk doing things I don't even want to mention. I couldn't believe it. My wife, the woman I loved, was cheating on me, and with my own fraternal twin brother. It hit me like a truck. I stared at the screen, my stomach twisting into knots. I felt sick, betrayed, furious. I couldn't believe she'd do this to me right in front of everyone, right at a family event. The worst part, I think she didn't even care that I saw it. She's always been good at lying, but seeing it laid out like that, the proof clear as day, I knew I had to face her. I had to know what was really going on. I needed to hear her lie her way out of this one, but I already knew the truth. It was all there. The betrayal, the lies, the cheating, everything. I didn't sleep that night. I kept staring at the ceiling, replaying everything in my head. How long had this been going on? Did I miss the signs? How stupid had I been to trust her? I felt a mix of heartbreak and rage boiling inside me. I wanted to confront her immediately, but I also knew I needed to think. How was I supposed to handle this? I was hurt, humiliated, and honestly kind of lost. I never thought I'd be that guy, the guy who finds out his wife, was cheating with his own brother. It's like the worst nightmare come true. The next morning, I couldn't keep it to myself anymore. I woke up with that raw, burning feeling in my chest, like I'd been punched repeatedly. I got out of bed, not even sure what I was planning to do, but I knew I had to confront her somehow. My mind kept flashing back to those messages, the way she looked at Tom during the barbecue, laughing too close, whispering in that secretive way she always had when she was hiding something. I was livid, but also numb. I decided to follow her when she left for work, just to see where she was going. I told myself I wasn't spying, just trying to understand how deep this thing went. She left the house around 8:30 a.m., her usual route, but I noticed she was heading toward that sketchy apartment complex on the outskirts of town. I followed her at a distance, parked nearby, and watched her walk into one of the units. My stomach twisted again. This was it. Whatever was happening, I had enough evidence now. I sat in my car, trembling with anger and a strange kind of pain. I didn't want to believe it, but I knew. She was cheating on me with my brother, and they'd been lying to my face. The betrayal felt like a punch in the gut all over again. I wanted to confront her right there, right then, but I also knew I needed a plan. I couldn't just burst in and make a scene, though honestly my temper was close to snapping. Later that day, I got a call from Tom. I didn't answer at first, but he left a message, something about needing to talk, sounding nervous. I knew. He knew I knew, and that made the whole thing worse. I started thinking about how I'd handle it, what I'd say, how I'd confront them both. I was furious at Tom, too. He's supposed to be my brother, but he's been sneaking around behind my back, lying about his own sister-in-law. It was all so messed up. That night I couldn't sleep. Instead, I sat in the living room staring at my wife's phone, weighing whether I should go all in and bust her. Or maybe I should wait, gather some more proof, and really make her regret crossing me. The thought of her lying to my face, pretending to be innocent, made me shudder. She's always been good at manipulation, but I could see right through her now. Finally, I decided I'd give her a chance to explain herself, but only on my terms. I wanted her to come home that evening and I'd be waiting. When she arrived, she looked tired, annoyed. That fake smile she always wears, like she's the victim in every situation, made my blood boil. I kept my cool, just enough to make her think I didn't suspect anything. But inside, I was boiling with rage and heartbreak. She sat down, pouting, trying to act all innocent. I looked her straight in the eyes and I said, "Emily, I know everything. About the messages, about that affair with Tom." Her face froze for a second, then she started with her bullshit, lying, denying, throwing out excuses about stress, work, feeling neglected. She called me crazy, said I was paranoid, that I was imagining things. But I was. I had the proof right there in her own words in the messages on her phone. The thing is, her reaction only made me angrier. She's always been good at lying, but she overplayed it. She kept insisting it was just a misunderstanding, that they never meant for it to go this far, that it was just sex, that it didn't mean anything. Yeah, right, like that makes it okay. I could see the way she was trying to play the victim, how she was twisting the story just to keep herself out of trouble, but I wasn't buying it. Not anymore. That night I went to bed feeling a mix of nausea, disappointment, and disgust. I kept replaying everything she said, and I realized I was done. Done with the lies, done with her bullshit, done with feeling like I wasn't enough. I'd been blindsided by her betrayal, and honestly I felt like a fool for trusting her so blindly. I thought I knew her, but now I saw her for what she really was: selfish, manipulative, and completely indifferent to the pain she'd caused me. I couldn't sleep, but I knew I had some decisions to make. I just didn't know what they were yet. The days that followed were a blur of anger, confusion, and a deep sense of betrayal I couldn't shake. I kept replaying that night, trying to understand how I could have missed all the signs. How Emily, my wife, who used to be so bitchy and demanding, could turn into someone so cold and manipulative. Sometimes I'd catch myself thinking about the good times, the plans we made, the life I thought we were building, and then I'd remember the messages, the sneaking around, how she was never really honest with me. I decided I needed to confront her again, but this time with a plan. I wasn't just going to yell and accuse her, at least not yet. I wanted to see her reaction, gauge whether she really believed her own lies or if she was just trying to manipulate me into staying quiet. I knew she'd be good at that. She's always been the type to twist things around, make herself the victim, and lie her ass off until she gets what she wants. But I was ready for that. That afternoon, I told her I wanted to talk, just the two of us. She looked annoyed, rolled her eyes, and said she was busy, but I told her I didn't care. I told her I'd wait. She finally caved and sat down across from me, crossing her arms in that bitchy way she always does when she feels she's in control. I started by laying it all out: the messages, the secret trips, the times I'd seen her acting distant. I told her I knew she was cheating and I didn't want any more lies. I said I deserved honesty, even if it hurt. She looked at me with her fake innocent face, and then she started to lie again, spinning stories about how she felt neglected, how I didn't pay enough attention to her, how she was just seeking comfort, not sex. She claimed she loved me but needed something more, that Tom just got caught up in the moment. Her words made me sick. It was all bullshit. I pushed her on it. "So you just decided to cheat with my brother during family gatherings? That's your idea of something more?" I could see her eyes flicker with that bitchy spark she gets when she's trying to manipulate someone. She said, "It's not like that, it's just sex. It didn't mean anything, just a stupid mistake. I didn't think you'd find out like this." I lost it for a moment. I told her she was a selfish, manipulative bitch who had no respect for me or our marriage. I told her I was done with her lies, that I didn't want to be with someone who would cheat on me and betray my family like that. I said I'd been a fool to trust her, to think she was worth fighting for. She looked like she wanted to cry, but I could see the smirk underneath. She's always been good at playing the victim. That's when I knew I had to take control of this situation before she twisted everything. I told her I was going to tell Tom what I knew. She tried to stop me, but I pressed her hard. I told her she better come clean about everything, or I'd do it for her. For the first time, I saw some genuine fear flash in her eyes, but she quickly masked it again, biting her lip and trying to act defiant. That's when I realized how much she's used to lying her way out of problems, how she's always been able to manipulate her way through life. The emotional roller coaster was brutal. I felt betrayed, furious, and heartbroken all at once. I'd loved her, believed in us, and now I was standing there, realizing I'd been played. That night I couldn't sleep again. I stared at the ceiling, questioning everything. How long had she been lying? How deep did her betrayal go? Was she planning to keep this going? Or was this just something she'd do once and regret? The questions kept swirling, and I knew I had to make a choice soon. I couldn't keep living in this limbo, not with the truth staring me right in the face. The next morning, I decided I needed to get some space. I couldn't keep going back and forth like this, unsure whether I should stay or leave. I called a friend, Mark, who's been through some rough breakups before, and I asked him for advice. He told me to think about what I really want, what I deserve, and to be honest with myself. That hit me hard. I realized I'd been so caught up in the shock and rage that I hadn't really thought about what I wanted long term. I took a day to myself. No calls, no texts, no confusion. Just sitting alone and trying to process everything. By evening, I knew I couldn't keep pretending everything was fine. I had to confront her. Again, but this time with a clear mind and a plan. I decided I was done with her lies and I was going to lay everything out on the table. That night, I told her I wanted her to come over so we could talk again, seriously. She was annoyed, but I knew that was just her usual act. She showed up at my place around 8 p.m., all bitchy and defiant, acting like she didn't have a care in the world. I was tired of her attitude, but I kept my cool. I started by telling her I didn't believe her bullshit anymore, that I knew she'd been lying to me, cheating on me, and sneaking around with Tom during family gatherings. I laid out all the evidence again, making sure she understood I wasn't some naive idiot. I told her I wasn't interested in her excuses about feeling neglected or needing comfort. I said that what she did was the worst kind of betrayal, and I didn't see a way back from this. She rolled her eyes, scoffing, and said, "You're overreacting. You don't know what you're talking about. Tom and I cut her off. Save it, I don't want to hear your lies anymore. I saw the messages, Emily. I know you've been sneaking around with my brother, during family gatherings no less. Do you even realize how sick that is?" Her face twisted into that bitchy sneer she always wears when she's cornered. She started to spin some story about how it was just sex, that it didn't mean anything, that she and Tom were just caught up in the moment, that she loved me and it was all some stupid mistake. I wasn't buying it. Nothing she said was worth a damn anymore. I told her straight up that I was done. Done with her lies, her manipulations, her bitchy attitude. I told her I was going to tell Tom exactly what I knew, that I'd give him a chance to come clean or I would do it myself. I warned her that if she wanted to keep pretending everything was okay, she'd better be prepared for the fallout. And I made it clear that I didn't want her to come back here anymore. I was finished giving her chances. She looked at me with this smirk, like she thought she could still spin her way out of it. That's when I finally saw that she's always been a master at hiding her true intentions, hiding her manipulative side behind a veneer of bitchiness. But this time, I was done being fooled. I told her she better get her shit together because from now on I was taking control of my life. As she left that night, I felt an odd mixture of relief and emptiness. The shock was wearing off, replaced by the reality of what was happening. I knew I had to decide where to go from here, whether I was going to try to save this mess or cut ties completely. The pain was still there, but I also felt something else, an odd sense of clarity. I had been played, lied to, and betrayed by the people I trusted most. But I also knew I had the power to decide my future. I just didn't know yet what that future would look like. Over the next few days, everything felt surreal. I didn't want to believe it was all over, but deep down, I knew I couldn't keep pretending everything was fine. The betrayal had cut too deep. I kept asking myself how I didn't see it coming, how Emily managed to hide this from me for so long, especially with my brother Tom, who I thought I knew better. It was like my entire world had shattered and I was left trying to pick up the pieces. Meanwhile, Emily kept playing her usual manipulative games. She'd call or text, trying to act innocent, acting like she was the victim in all this. "I love you," she'd say. "It was just a mistake. I didn't mean for it to go this far." That fake concern, that fake remorse, it made me sick. I could see right through her. She's always been good at lying, but I knew her tricks now. I decided I wouldn't fall for her act anymore. I had to stand firm. I also had a serious talk with Tom, my brother. I confronted him face to face, and he didn't even try to deny it. He admitted they'd been sneaking around during family gatherings, said he was just as much at fault. That was a punch to the gut. I told him I never wanted to see him again unless he came clean, and I warned him that I was done with this whole mess. It was one thing to be betrayed, but another to see your own flesh and blood, your brother, be part of it. That hurt worse than anything. After that, I made the decision to move out of the house. I couldn't stay in the same space, knowing what had happened. I found a small apartment nearby, not too far from our old place. I needed space to think, to breathe. I also started going to therapy, trying to process the emotional chaos inside me. It was tough feeling like I'd been played and used. Every day was a struggle, trying to hold it together for myself, for my sanity. One thing I realized through all this mess: trust can be such a fragile thing. I always thought I was a good judge of character, but I was blind to Emily's true nature. She's manipulative, bitchy, and a liar, and I was stupid enough to ignore the signs. I guess love makes you blind sometimes. But I learned a hard lesson. Never ignore the signs of betrayal, no matter how much you love someone. Because the pain of finding out the truth is worse than any heartbreak you could imagine. As I sit here now reflecting on everything, I've come to a decision. I'm not going to chase her or try to fix what's broken anymore. She's shown me who she really is, someone selfish and manipulative who cheats and lies without a second thought. I deserve better. I deserve someone who respects me, who values honesty, and who doesn't play games with my heart. I'm tired of the lies, tired of the pain, and tired of feeling like I'm just a fool. So I'm choosing to move on. It's going to hurt for a while, but I know I'll be stronger in the end. I'll rebuild my life piece by piece without her. And maybe someday I'll trust again, just not with someone like her. The betrayal has taught me that love isn't enough sometimes. Trust is everything, and once it's broken, it's almost impossible to fix. But I'll get through this. I have to. Looking back now, I realize how much I've grown through all this chaos, even if it doesn't feel like it most days. The betrayal was brutal, but it forced me to see things clearly, about her, about my brother, and about myself. I learned that pretending everything was okay only prolongs the pain, and that sometimes you have to face the harsh truth head-on, no matter how much it hurts. I've come to accept that she was never the person I thought she was. Her bitchy attitude, her lying, her manipulations, they all came to light when I needed her the most. I used to believe in forever, in loyalty, in the idea that love could conquer all. But now I know that love isn't enough if the foundation isn't built on honesty and respect. Once those are gone, everything crumbles. Since leaving that life behind, I've started focusing on myself. I've been working out, reconnecting with old friends, and trying to rebuild my confidence. It's not easy, and I still get moments where I feel like crap, but I remind myself that I deserve better. I deserve someone who treats me with honesty, someone who won't lie, cheat, or manipulate me. That's what I'm aiming for now, finding real, genuine happiness without the lies and betrayals. I've also learned a lot about boundaries. I won't tolerate bullshit anymore. That bitchy attitude Emily always had. It's a red flag I won't ignore again. If something doesn't sit right, I'll speak up. If someone shows signs of dishonesty, I'll walk away. Trust is something you earn, not something you give blindly. That's the biggest lesson I take away from all this. To anyone out there going through something similar, know this. Betrayal cuts deep, but you can survive it. Don't let their lies define you. Take control of your life and don't be afraid to walk away from someone who doesn't respect you. It hurts, yeah, but being alone is better than being with someone who destroys your trust and your soul. I still have scars, but they remind me of how far I've come. Finally, I want to say that I forgive myself for not seeing it sooner. I forgive her too, in my own way. Holding on to anger only keeps you trapped. I choose to move forward stronger, wiser, and more cautious. I know now that love isn't just about feelings, it's about respect, honesty, and loyalty. And I won't settle for less anymore. That's the real victory, finding peace after chaos and knowing I'm finally taking back my life.